The fluorescent light in the security booth hummed softly, like a cicada that never tired. My new security uniform didn't fit quite right. The collar pressed against my throat, making it hard to breathe. The clock on the wall showed just past 10. "Hey, man. New here." The older guard beside me, maybe in his 50s, offered me a cigarette. I waved it off. "Yeah. First day." He studied me with a look that mixed curiosity with the knowing weariness of someone who'd seen it all. "You don't look like you belong here. Soft hands. Pale skin. Get in trouble." I tried to smile and failed. "Something like that. Pissed someone off." I stayed silent. Which was answer enough. The old guard exhaled a cloud of smoke, his voice turning hazy through it. "This place. Best keep your head down. Especially Apex Technologies. Waters run deep here. Look at that gate. Everyone coming and going. They're all sharp operators." My gaze drifted to the brightly lit office tower in the distance. Apex Technologies headquarters. The place I'd given nearly 10 years of my life. "Yeah. Deep waters." My phone buzzed. The screen showed a name, Vivian Gu. I answered but said nothing. A beat of silence on the other end. Then her voice. Cold. Edged with impatience. "Have you thought it through?" I still didn't respond. Just listened. A man's voice came through in the background. Laughing. "Derek Chi. Vivian. Don't waste your breath on someone who doesn't know his place. Here. Have some soup. I had the kitchen make it special for you." Then her voice again. Lower. With a hint of playful reproach. "Always so talkative." Then. Back to me. Steel cold. "Ethan Carter. I'm giving you one last chance. Right now. Admit you were wrong. Over a project proposal you couldn't even understand. Was it worth it?" I listened. My eyes fixed on the window of the booth. A flashy red Porsche was easing out of the underground garage. Behind the wheel, Derek Chi. The passenger seat sat empty. "I'm giving you the night to reflect. Tomorrow morning, Olivia will come ask you for your answer. If you're still this stubborn, you can stay in that doghouse forever." The line went dead. I gripped the phone, watching the Porsche disappear into the night. Veins standing out on the back of my hand. The old guard leaned in, lowering his voice. "That was Ms. Gu, wasn't it?" I didn't answer. "Listen, man. Take it from me. Ms. Gu. She's a phoenix up in the sky. And that new director Chi she's got around. He's her golden boy. You cross him, you're asking for trouble." Slowly. I unclenched my fist and let out a long breath. "Thanks for the advice." Yesterday afternoon. The company's executive meeting. I'd stood up in front of everyone and pointed out 17 fatal technical flaws and financial risks in Derek Chi's Horizon Initiative proposal. And Vivian Gu, my wife, CEO of Apex Technologies, to defend her lover, announced on the spot that I, the co-founder and chief technology officer, was being stripped of all duties, reassigned to the front gate, night shift security. Late into the night. The chill deepened. The booth held only me and the old guard. "Ray." He said his name was. He dozed in his chair, snoring softly. I stayed awake, watching the security monitors split into 16 small squares. Every corner of the company, every hallway, laid out on that tiny screen. I designed this surveillance system myself. Years ago. I thought I could see every corner of the company. But I never saw my wife's heart. My phone buzzed again. A text. From Mom. My mother-in-law. "Margaret Gu. Ethan. Why can't you be more sensible? Vivian is a woman carrying a company on her shoulders. Do you have any idea the pressure she's under? Everything she does. She has her reasons. Fighting her is like stabbing her in the heart. Just apologize to her. Married couples don't have real grudges. Don't make things harder for her." I read the message word by word, then deleted it. Harder for her. From the moment she promoted that empty suit Derek Chi, good only at flattering her, completely useless professionally, to project director. Had she ever thought about who she was making it harder for? The engineers who worked nights and weekends for the company's technological breakthroughs. Me. Her husband. The one who'd built this company with her from nothing. A tiny rented room. To a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. 4 in the morning. The hour when exhaustion hits hardest. I splashed cold water on my face to stay sharp. Ray woke up, rubbing his eyes. Still awake. Get some shut-eye if you need to. I'll keep watch. I'm fine. Not tired. He poured me a cup of hot water in a chipped enamel mug. You and Ms. Gu, you're married. Right. I nodded. He sighed, looking unsurprised. Knew it. Only family could have that kind of fire. Sending someone from the top floor all the way down here. But listen. Man. Every couple fights. I know Ms. Gu's temper. Hot and fast. Just swallow your pride. Say something nice. And it'll blow over. I took a sip of the hot water. The warmth slid down my throat but did nothing to thaw the cold inside me. Ray. If you knew something was wrong. Dead wrong. Would you still do it? He blinked. Then chuckled. Showing yellowed teeth. Depends. For myself. No. For my wife. Depends on the situation. For my boss. Boss says what boss says. I don't question right and wrong. Honest. Practical. But I couldn't live that way. Some lines. Once crossed. You can never go back. Dawn broke. The morning shift arrived. One by one. They looked at me with surprise and barely concealed glee. No one came up to talk. Just pointed and whispered from a distance. I took off the ill-fitting uniform. Folded it neatly. And placed it on the table. Put my own clothes back on. Ray watched me. You're leaving. Not going to apologize to Ms. Gu. I shook my head. No. I patted his shoulder. Thanks for the hot water. I walked out of the booth. Morning sunlight hit me. But brought no warmth. A black company car was parked at the entrance. The door opened. And a woman stepped out in a crisp business suit. Impeccable. Precise. Olivia Bennett. Vivian Gu's chief of staff. Always on time. Always efficient. Always perfectly executing every command. She walked toward me in her heels. A professional smile on her face. But something flickered in her eyes. Could have been pity. Could have been contempt. Mr. Carter. Good morning. The title had changed. From Mr. Carter to simply Mr. Carter. But stripped of all authority. I nodded. Saying nothing. Ms. Gu sent me to ask. After a night of reflection. Have you come to recognize your mistake? She recited the words like a recording. Devoid of any personal inflection. I looked at her. 5 years at Vivian Gu's side. Witness to almost everything between us. Olivia. Could you get me a pen and a piece of paper? She froze. Clearly not expecting that. She'd probably braced for anger. Argument. Or defeated surrender. Mr. Carter, what for? Something to write. She hesitated. Then reached into her briefcase and pulled out an elegant notebook and a Montblanc pen. I recognized both. Gifts I'd given Vivian Gu for her birthday last year. I took the pen but didn't open the notebook to a fresh page. Instead, I flipped to the front cover. There, in gold embossed letters, were words I'd written myself, to my beloved wife. Vivian. My pen hovered above that line. Then I wrote beneath it. On the blank space below. Not a confession. Not an apology. Just 4 words, shares transfer agreement. I signed my name, Ethan Carter. Then I took another sheet and wrote my resignation. I, Ethan Carter, hereby voluntarily resign from all positions at Apex Technologies. Effective immediately. Due to personal reasons. I signed that too. I handed both to Olivia. Give these to Vivian Gu. Olivia stared. Frozen. She looked at the papers. Then at me. Mouth opening and closing without sound. Her expression shifted. Confusion. Shock. Then panicked disbelief. Mr. Carter, this is. Also. Tell her one more thing. I looked her dead in the eyes. Speaking slowly and clearly. Starting at 9 o'clock this morning. When the market opens. All 23% of my original shares in Apex Technologies will be sold on the secondary market. No price limit. No regard for loss. Olivia's notebook slipped from her fingers and hit the ground. The Montblanc pen rolled away. Her face drained of all color. No. That's impossible. Mr. Carter. You can't do this. Do you understand what that means? Of course I understood. It meant that from today, Ethan Carter was done with Apex Technologies. Done with Vivian Gu. Completely. It also meant a storm was about to hit. I didn't look back at her. I turned and walked to the curb, flagged down a cab, and got in. Behind me, Olivia's voice rose in a panicked, tear-filled scream. Ms. Gu. Ms. Gu. Something terrible. Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter has sold all his original shares and left the company. She was reporting to someone on the phone. But she got one detail wrong. Not last night. Now. The taxi wound through city traffic. I turned off my phone. I knew what was coming. Calls from Vivian Gu. Her family. The board. Even reporters. I wanted none of it. I got out at a nondescript budget hotel in Jersey City. Checked in with my ID. The room was tiny. A bed. A desk. A small bathroom. The air smelled faintly of disinfectant. For the first time in a long time, I felt peace. I drew the curtains. The world went dark and quiet. I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, mind blank. I don't know how long I lay there. Eventually my stomach growled, reminding me I hadn't eaten in over a day. I turned on my phone. The screen exploded with notifications. Missed calls. Texts. Pouring in like a flood. 98 missed calls. 63 from Vivian Gu. The rest from her parents and company board members. I opened the texts. Vivian's messages went from furious demands to frantic pleas. Ethan Carter. Have you lost your mind? What are you doing? The stock price hit the circuit breaker. Do you know what this means for the company? Stop this now. I'm ordering you to stop selling. Please. Ethan. Let's talk. What do you want? I'll give you anything. Answer the damn phone. Where are you? I deleted them one by one. Face blank. Then a text from Margaret. My mother-in-law. Dripping with venom. Ethan Carter. You ungrateful snake. Without our family. You're nothing. How dare you do this to Vivian? To us. You'll get what's coming to you. I laughed coldly and deleted that too. Ungrateful snake. Who had stood outside my apartment all night to beg for startup capital. Who had cried and swore she'd never let me work myself to the bone again after I collapsed in the lab from 3 days without sleep to solve a technical problem. Who had held me on the day our company went public and said, Ethan Carter, the luckiest thing in my life was marrying you. Me. Or her. I opened an encrypted messaging app. Only one contact in it. Nathan Reed. My college roommate. Now a partner at a top law firm. Everything goes smoothly. I typed. Reply came within seconds. Flawless. All shares liquidated within 30 minutes of open through multiple channels. Funds routed through offshore accounts. Split across 17 independent accounts. Repatriated in batches. Congratulations. Ethan. You're a free billionaire. Followed by a sunglasses smile emoji. I stared at the words. No joy. No relief. Thanks. Don't mention it. Though seriously. Your ex is screwed. I checked the ticker. Apex's stock has crashed below IPO price. Market cap evaporated by nearly $4 billion. Your sell-off triggered a panic. No buyers stepping in. Tomorrow's going to be another circuit breaker for sure. No regrets. That was 10 years of your life. I looked out the window. Dark had fallen. No regrets. A house without a heart. What's the point? Yes. From the moment she'd chosen another man and thrown me into the dirt. Apex Technologies was dead to me. I woke in the hotel bed. Sunlight filtered through the curtain gap. Sharp and bright. I turned on the TV to a financial news channel. The anchor, a pretty woman, spoke with urgent excitement. Following massive share liquidation by a founding shareholder. Apex Technologies opened at the circuit breaker for a second consecutive day, hitting historic lows. Market cap now stands below $3 billion. Sources report multiple capital groups have expressed acquisition interest. The screen cut to footage of Apex's headquarters in Manhattan. Reporters swarmed the entrance. Vivian Gu emerged, flanked by security guards. Looking haggard. Nothing like her former confident self. She looked thinner. Worn. Microphones thrust toward her from all directions. Ms. Gu. Why did Mr. Carter suddenly liquidate his entire position? Is it related to internal conflicts? Ms. Gu. Market rumors suggest you have a close relationship with new director Derek Chi. Is this the cause of the marital breakdown? Ms. Gu. With the stock price in freefall. What's your plan? Vivian answered nothing. But in the crowd. She was looking for something. For someone. I knew. She was looking for me. Still clinging to the fantasy that I was just throwing a tantrum. And if I'd just show up, everything could go back to normal. She was wrong. I turned off the TV. Went down to the hotel restaurant and had a simple breakfast. Then Nathan called. Grab a drink. Sure. We met at a quiet lounge in Soho. Nathan slid a folder across the table. Complete asset list. Everything you own. The liquidated funds. Previous investments. Real estate. All organized. Also, a draft of the divorce agreement. Take a look. Let me know if anything needs changing. I opened the folder. Looked at the long string of numbers. Felt nothing. Money had long since stopped meaning anything to me. I picked up the divorce papers. Nathan's work was impeccable. Detailed and airtight. On property division. He'd written, I waived most joint marital assets. Keeping only premarital property and proceeds from the share sale. The penthouse on Fifth Avenue. My cars. All left to her. Giving her too much. Nathan asked. No. Call it buying out 10 years of memories. I signed my name. Have your firm serve it to her lawyer. Will do. Nathan put the papers away and looked at me. What's next? I shook my head. No idea. Rest for a while. Good. You haven't stopped in 10 years. Hey, there's something you might be interested in. His expression turned knowing. Remember Spencer Zhao? The name unlocked a door in my memory. My college classmate. My old rival. In academics. In tech competitions. We'd always been neck and neck. After graduation, I chose to start a company with Vivian. He went to a top investment firm in Silicon Valley. Later I heard he'd started his own fund. Polaris Capital. And had been making waves. What about him? Nathan smiled. He's very interested in Apex Technologies. Spencer Zhao. Interested in Apex. Nathan sipped his whiskey. More precisely. He's interested in your tech framework and patent portfolio. The company itself. He sees it as a wreck. I fell silent. Apex's core strength had always been its technology. Over 90% of it. I'd led development on. Leaving was like pulling the foundation out from under a building. He reached out to me. Nathan continued. Wants to meet you through me. What does he want? What do you think? Strike while the iron's hot. Apex's stock is in freefall. It's practically a gift. Spencer doesn't miss opportunities like this. He wants inside information to guide his acquisition strategy. You want me to help him? No. Nathan waved a hand. I'm just a messenger. Whether you meet him, what you do, that's on you. But personally, I'd say hear him out. Enemy of my enemy. Right. I looked at the ice melting in my glass and didn't answer right away. That night, back at the hotel, the TV was still full of Apex news. Their PR department was clearly in over its head. Every statement they issued was weak. Doing nothing to calm the market panic. Online, rumors flew every which way. Some said I'd fled the country with the money. Others said I was getting revenge for a failed marriage. One outlet dug up Derek Chee's profile and ran a side-by-side comparison with mine under a headline dripping with sarcasm. From founding CTO to security guard, one man's decade of marriage and ruin. I scrolled through the articles. It would have been laughable if it weren't so pathetic. Then an unknown number called. I hesitated. Then answered. A tired, aged voice came through. Ethan, it's me. My father-in-law. Richard Gu. Unlike his wife's sharp tongue, Richard had always been a pushover. Gentle. Weak-willed. With no real say in the household. Dad. The word came out of habit. Long silence on the other end. Then a heavy sigh. Son, come home. Vivian, she knows she was wrong. Does she? My voice was flat. She's locked herself in her room. Hasn't eaten in 2 days. The company's a mess. The board is hounding her. She's falling apart. Then sell the company. Sell it. His voice shot up. That's her life's work. Ethan, can't you, for old time's sake, throw her a lifeline? Old time's sake. I laughed. Dad. When she kicked me out of the office and sent me to guard the gate. Where were you? When she humiliated me in front of the whole company for an outsider. Where were you? Now that the company's in trouble. You remember I exist. I. He stammered. Ethan. I know Vivian wronged you. But, you can't just watch her drown. She's your wife. Not for much longer. I cut him off cold. The divorce papers should be delivered today. Instead of begging me, you'd be better off convincing her to sign. It'll be better for everyone. I hung up, leaning back against the headboard. Exhaustion washed over me. This family, these so-called relatives, had rotted to the core. I pulled out my phone and found Nathan's number. Set up the meeting with Spencer. The next afternoon, I met Spencer Zhao at a private club in Midtown. He'd aged well since college. Tailored suit, wire-rimmed glasses, sharp and composed eyes. Time had been kind to him, adding gravitas rather than wear. Long time. Ethan. He extended a hand. I shook it. Long time. No small talk. We got straight to business. Apex Technologies. I want it. Spencer's tone was direct. Confident. I know. I need your help. And what do I get? I met his eyes. We'd never been the type to dance around things. Spencer smiled. A shrewd glint behind his glasses. You do nothing. And you get 5% equity in the new entity under Polaris Capital. A generous offer. It meant I'd get a substantial piece of the new company with zero upfront cost. And the catch? Simple. He leaned back. Hands steepled. 1. I need an internal technical assessment and personnel analysis. Who's valuable? Who's dead weight? Non-confidential. Of course. Easy. 2. After my team moves in, you stay on as technical consultant for 3 months to ensure smooth transition of core tech. Just 3 months. Just 3 months. Spencer nodded. I know you don't want to stay. I just need insurance. After that, you're free. 3. His smile turned knowing. Derek Chi. I want him ruined professionally. And legally accountable for his incompetence. I looked at him. Surprised. You have history with him. No. Spencer shook his head. I just hate idiots. Especially inside my company. Someone who rose through connections and introduced massive risk. He needs to be removed. Publicly. As a warning. His words hit exactly where I wanted them. What I needed wasn't just to take the company from Vivian. I needed the man who destroyed my marriage and career to face consequences. One last question. I held his gaze. Why help me? Spencer paused. Took off his glasses. And rubbed the bridge of his nose. In college. Everyone saw us as rivals. I always thought of us as kindred spirits. His voice was sincere. I've always respected your talent. Watching you chain it to one woman. Let her humiliate you. It felt like a waste. Now I'm just pulling you out of the mud. And getting a top-tier tech mind for my company in the process. He put his glasses back on. Eyes sharp. So. Ethan Carter. What's it going to be? Let Vivian and her boy toy keep squatting on your legacy. Or team up with me. Take back what's yours. And more. I raised my glass and drained it in one go. When do I start? Over the next few days. I moved out of the hotel and into a serviced apartment Nathan had arranged. I locked myself inside and started compiling everything about Apex Technologies. Every technical thread. Every project status. Every key engineer's strengths and weaknesses. All of it was in my head. As clear as a map. I spent 2 days writing a 100-page assessment. I divided Apex's tech assets into 3 tiers: core, replaceable, and junk. The personnel. Likewise, must keep, watch list, and must go. Derek Chi went at the top of the must go list. I added a note: 0 professional competence. Ethical issues. Significant legal liability. Recommend immediate removal. I encrypted the report and sent it to Spencer. His call came instantly. Ethan. You didn't give me a report. You gave me a treasure map. Excitement colored his voice. With this, I can push the acquisition price down another 10%. And our deal. Relax. He cut me off. I meant what I said. In fact, I'm adding a condition. What? The new RD center. I'm naming it after you. I blinked. Why? Because it's yours. And one day, I want you back there for real. I hung up and stood by the window, looking out at the city lights. For the first time in months, something stirred inside me. Meanwhile, Vivian's world was collapsing. The stock's freefall had exhausted the board's patience. A faction led by Vice Chairman Mr. Anderson demanded she present a solution immediately, or face a shareholder vote to remove her. Vivian scrambled, begging for investment, calling in every favor. But my liquidation had been a warning sign no one dared ignore. No capital wanted to touch a sinking ship. Even worse, the engineers were leaving. Key technical staff started taking sick days, then handing in resignations. She offered raises, stock options. Nothing worked. Everyone could see the ship was going down. And then there was Derek Chi. In the middle of the crisis, instead of lying low, he demanded more authority, more budget, more personnel control, supposedly to stabilize morale. Behind her back, he was contacting headhunters, looking for his own escape. Her informants reported everything back to her. Late one night, Vivian called. On a number I hadn't blocked. Ethan. Her voice wasn't cold this time. Just exhausted. Broken. I was wrong. I was so wrong. She was crying. Ethan. Please come back. I can't do this without you. I said nothing. Just listened. I shouldn't have doubted you. I shouldn't have chosen Derek. Some outsider. Over you. I lost my mind. I really did. Just give me one more chance. Please. Her voice cracked. Fragmented. The board is pushing me out. The stock is still crashing. People are leaving. I don't know what to do anymore. I could picture her. Alone in that big office. Knees pulled up. Crying. Just like years ago. When our first startup failed and we lost everything. Then. I'd held her and said. It's okay. I'm here. Now I just said. It's too late. Silence on the other end. What? I said it's too late. Vivian. When you sent me to the gate to please that man. When you sent Olivia to ask if I'd learned my lesson. When you let your mother send those texts. It was already too late. No. That's not. Let me explain. Don't. I cut her off. Everything you did was a knife. Cutting away whatever was left between us. And now you say you're sorry. Does it even matter? It does. It does. Her voice pitched high with desperation. Ethan. We're married. 10 years. Don't you remember how we struggled together? Don't you remember what you said to me on the day we went public? I laughed. Bitter. Hollow. I remember. I also remember you flirting with Derek on the phone the night you sent me to guard the gate. I remember you telling me to reflect in my doghouse. Vivian. You destroyed us. All by yourself. The line went dead for a long moment. Then her voice returned. Laced with hatred. So this is all revenge. Isn't it? You sold the stock to ruin me. To watch me suffer. I'm not that petty. My voice was flat. I took back what was mine and walked away from a place that made me sick. What happens to Apex? What happens to you? None of it matters to me anymore. Ethan Carter. You're cruel. I learned from you. I hung up. Blocked the number. The next morning, Polaris Capital formally submitted its acquisition offer to the Apex board. The market exploded. Apex's stock, after 7 consecutive circuit breaker days, finally opened, only to plunge into wilder chaos. Vivian was backed to the edge. Polaris's offer was brutal. Spencer's price barely topped Apex's current market value by 10%. Practically an insult in normal acquisition terms. But everyone knew Vivian had no room to negotiate. Take the humiliating offer. Cede control. Keep a small stake as a figurehead. Or refuse. Watch the stock crater further. And get torn apart by vultures until nothing remained. The board split. Mr. Anderson's faction pushed for acceptance. It was the best possible outcome now. The other faction, Vivian's loyalists, still held out hope she could pull a miracle. At the meeting, Vivian sat silent, pale, saying nothing. She knew it was over. Then I re-emerged. In a way no one expected. I registered a new company. The name was simple, Novatech. Registered capital, $100 million. The legal representative, me. Business scope, tech consulting and software development. Nathan strategically leaked the news to the press. The effect was seismic. Everyone understood what I was doing. Not disappearing. but starting fresh. And even more shocking, Novatech announced its first client within 24 hours. A major e-commerce conglomerate. Eastbridge Group. The project, the smart logistics system they'd originally planned to do with Apex. The one Derek Chi had botched so badly it got me fired. The very project that had been the final straw. It landed like a slap across Vivian and Derek's faces. I could almost picture Vivian's expression when she saw the news. My phone exploded again. Recruiters. Investors. Former Apex engineers. Mr. Carter. Are you hiring? Count me in. Mr. Carter. I'll take a pay cut. Just let me work for you. I didn't commit to anyone. Nathan filtered them for me. I knew the time wasn't right yet. I'd wait until Apex was truly dead. Then the real talent would come to me. The Novatech-Eastbridge partnership was the final blow. The Apex board stopped arguing. Mr. Anderson's faction forced through the acquisition resolution. When Vivian signed, her hand was shaking. She collapsed right afterward. The acquisition moved at lightning speed. Spencer's team took over finance. HR, legal. The company seal was impounded. All mid-level managers were ordered to stay for interviews. First up, Derek Chi. Spencer's deputy. A notoriously hard-nosed executive. Handled it personally. In Derek's own office. Director Chi. She began. We've reviewed your background. Before joining Apex, you had no major project management experience. How exactly did you get Ms. Gu's trust to lead the Horizon initiative? Derek's practiced smile froze. I may lack experience. But I have passion and fresh ideas. Fresh ideas. She laughed coldly. Slapping a file on his desk. This is your proposal. 3 independent experts reviewed it. Conclusion, 0 innovation. Riddled with basic technical errors and unrealistic budget projections. If executed. Failure rate. 100%. Derek went white as a sheet. This is slander. Ethan Carter set me up. Ethan Carter. The deputy raised an eyebrow. The CTO you had reassigned to guard duty. I'd say his assessment was far more professional than yours. You. Director Chi. We have evidence of bid rigging and embezzlement. These are your financial records with Summit Tech. She slid another file across. Derek saw it and went limp in his chair. That's no. I didn't. Tell it to the police. 2 uniformed officers walked in. Derek was let out like a rag doll. It happened so fast. Everything he'd built. Gone. And the whole company watched. News of Derek's arrest spread like wildfire. Silence fell over the office. His cronies scrambled to cover their tracks. Spencer's team followed my list and began a massive purge. One after another. The dead weight was called into HR, signed severance, packed boxes, and slunk out. The whole place was tense. Suffocating. Spencer called me. Ethan. Your turn. The next day, I walked back into that building. As a special technical consultant for Polaris Capital. I didn't go to the top floor executive suite. I went straight to the RD Center on the 15th floor. That was my real home. When I pushed through the doors, everyone stopped working and stared. Disbelief. Curiosity. Excitement. And a flicker of guilt. These were my people. The ones I'd trained. Led. Built from nothing. When I was fired, not one had spoken up for me. I didn't blame them. Self-preservation was the rule in corporate America. I walked to the office at the far end. My old office. The CTO plaque was gone. A new one read, Technical Consultant. Ethan Carter. Inside. Spencer sat behind my old desk. Pouring tea. Welcome back. He said. How does it feel? Nothing. And I meant it. Familiar and foreign all at once. It's yours for 3 months. He handed me a cup. Core tech handover. Team stabilization. Per our deal. I know. Anything you need. Just ask. HR, budget. Your call. He stood. Clapped my shoulder. Oh. Vivian wants to see you. I paused. Cup halfway to my lips. I don't want to see her. I know. He smiled. I told her no. But she looks rough. My doctor thinks severe depression. I said nothing. Ethan. I know you hate her. But some things. He shrugged. Let them go. You've got a life ahead of you. He left. I sat alone in the empty office, looking out at the sky, not speaking for a long time. Depression. I didn't believe it. Vivian was too proud, too stubborn to break that easily. Probably just another act to get sympathy. The consulting job went smoother than expected. Spencer had my back, no one dared cross me. The engineers welcomed me back with open arms. They'd hated Derek's incompetence as much as I did. My return gave them hope. Within a month, I'd completed all core tech documentation, restructured the engineering team, and promoted a few capable young leaders. The RD center shed its malaise, buzzing with energy again. One afternoon, Olivia knocked on my door. She looked thinner than before but more assured. She'd survived the purge. Spencer had kept her on due to her competence. "Mr. Carter," she said. "The title now official. What is it?" "Ms. Gu. Ms. Vivian wants to see you." "Not interested." She said if you refused, she'd jump. I frowned. "Where is she?" "The coffee shop across the street." I closed my laptop and stood. "Stay here." I didn't want Olivia witnessing what was coming. She was sitting by the window, back to me, in a white dress, thin as a leaf, like she'd blow away in the wind. I sat across from her. She turned slowly. The face that had once been so radiant was gaunt, pale, hollow, red-rimmed eyes, dark circles. Silence stretched between us. Finally, she spoke. How are you?" "Fine," I said flatly. "Your new company, going well?" "Yes." "Good." She looked down, twisting her hands. "Ethan, can't we go back?" I looked at her, and felt nothing. "Vivian. When glass breaks, can you put it back together?" The last hope in her eyes died. Tears slid silently down her cheeks. Why did it turn out like this?" She whispered. "We used to be so good. We built everything together. Everyone called us the perfect couple. When did it all go wrong? When you became CEO and started loving the praise. When you started taking my work for granted. When you chose a smooth-talking fraud over the man who'd been by your side through everything." Each word drained more color from her face. "No. That's not." She shook her head desperately. The pressure was too much. I wanted to prove I could do it without you. So you proved it by humiliating me." I cut in, voice laced with scorn. "By putting me at the front gate to feed your pathetic ego." She had no answer. Just tears. "Ethan. I know I was wrong. Please. Let's start over. I'll give you everything back. The company. Whatever you want. Just please." She reached for my hand. I pulled away. She broke completely, sobbing at the table, drawing stares from everyone in the cafe. "Ethan Carter. You're so cruel. You destroyed my company. My life. And now you're destroying me. Do you want me dead?" Her screaming was pure venom. I stood, pulled out some cash, and placed it on the table. "Vivian. I didn't destroy you. You destroyed yourself. Your company. Your career. You threw it all away. I just saved myself before you could destroy me too." I walked out. Didn't look back. Because there was nothing left to look back at. Between us wasn't just Derek Chi. Or one betrayal. It was years of her growing ego and control. It was my love and respect slowly eroded. We'd been on different paths for a long time. I'd just been too blind to see it. And she, even now, still didn't. The meeting with Vivian was a blip. Didn't disrupt my life much. 3 months flew by. On my last day, the RD team threw me a small farewell party. They gave me a framed piece of code. All core modules arranged into the shape of a C. For Carter. "Thank you. Mr. Carter. Come visit us." I looked at their faces and felt a genuine warmth. "You're in good hands. Spencer's a solid boss." I drank the toast in one gulp. Afterward, Spencer called me into his office. "Really leaving?" I nodded. "New companies waiting." My 3 months away from Novatech hadn't been idle. Nathan had managed it well. We'd finished the Eastbridge project and landed several big contracts. I'd also recruited some of the best engineers from Apex's exodus. Novatech was solid. Poised for big things. Fair enough. Spencer exhaled smoke. "My offer stands. Anytime." He meant the RD director role at the new company. "I know. Also." He looked amused. Derek's trial. Embezzlement and bribery. He's looking at 10 years. Good. Funny thing. He tried to get a lighter sentence by throwing Vivian under the bus. Said they were lovers. Provided evidence. Texts. Hotel records, even videos. My stomach turned. I'd known about them. But hearing the grimy details laid out like that still made me sick. And so Vivian's now under investigation too. She might not be criminally liable, but her reputation is destroyed. I heard her family kicked her out. He sighed. Sad. Really. Alone and abandoned. I didn't answer. Sad. Maybe. But she chose every step of that road. After leaving Apex for good, I threw myself fully into Novatech. The company grew faster than I'd hoped. Strong tech. Solid connections. We made our mark quickly. Within 6 months, Novatech's valuation topped $1 billion. I became something of a tech legend. The man kicked out by his wife. Then back on top in half a year. Rumors about Vivian filtered in now and then. She'd been questioned by authorities. Not charged. But broken. She'd sold the Fifth Avenue penthouse and moved to a modest apartment. Someone saw her drunk at an industry event, crying about the man who'd abandoned her. I ignored it all. Too busy for people who didn't matter anymore. Work. Meetings. Projects. I filled my life with them. It felt good to live for myself. One afternoon, Nathan burst into my office during a team meeting. His face was tense. Ethan. Come out. In the hallway, you're Vivian's mother. Margaret. She's outside. What does she want? What do you think? Money. Nathan scoffed. Said her daughter's broke. Dying in the hospital. Needs cash. Wants you to help for old time's sake. Same old act. I had security remove her. But she doesn't seem like she'll stop. You want to. Don't engage. Call the police if she shows again. Got it. He nodded. Also, the divorce judgment came through. My heart stirred. Finally. And she never showed. Never hired a lawyer. With your asset waiver. The court granted it. He handed me the papers. I looked at the words, divorce granted. A long, slow exhale. 10 years of marriage. Severed. Legally and emotionally. We were strangers now. Congratulations. Nathan said, clapping my shoulder. A new beginning. I smiled and put the papers away. Yes. A new beginning. Life went on. Same routine. Work. Home. Work. But a weight had lifted. I felt lighter. One night, coming home late from the office, I spotted someone in the parking garage of my apartment building. Vivian. She was standing by my parking spot, wearing a faded old coat, hair limp, face haggard, clutching a thermos. When my headlights hit her, she flinched. Like a startled animal. I parked and got out. 3 yards between us. The air went still. You're back. Her voice was barely audible. I said nothing. How did you know where I live? I asked Olivia. Olivia. Of course. She was still soft-hearted. What do you want? My coldness stung her. Her eyes reddened. I made you soup. Your stomach's always bad. You eat late. She held out the thermos, forcing a smile that was more painful than a cry. I looked at it and felt only bitter irony. All those years I was her husband. All those years I wrecked my stomach building her company. She never once made me soup. Now that we were nothing, she showed up playing the devoted wife. No need. I walked past her toward the elevator. I don't want it. Ethan. Her voice cracked. I stopped. Didn't turn. I know you'll never forgive me. I'm not asking for that. Her voice echoed in the empty garage. I wanted to see you one more time. I'm sorry my mother bothered you. The sickness. That was a lie. The truth is, I have no money left. Derek gambled it all away. I sold the penthouse to pay his debts. I have nothing now. Her voice was pure hopelessness. I'm not here to beg you to come back. Not here for money. I just wanted to say. I was wrong. Completely wrong. I let power blind me. I took you for granted. I chose someone worthless over the one person who really loved me. If I could turn back time, I would. She choked. I listened. Felt nothing. Regret too late was worth less than grass. I walked into the elevator. The doors closed, shutting out her muffled sobs. I knew I'd never see her again. Our lives would never intersect from this moment on. I thought that was the end of the story. But life is stranger than fiction. About a month later, Olivia called. Her voice was panicked. "Mr. Carter, can you come to the hospital?" "What happened?" "Vivian, she tried to kill herself." My mind went blank. I felt nothing for her anymore. But the news still hit me. At the hospital, Vivian was still in emergency. Olivia and Richard and Margaret were waiting outside. The two people who'd once looked down on me looked a decade older. When Margaret saw me, her eyes blazed. She lunged like a madwoman. "Ethan Carter. You murderer. You killed my daughter. Give her back." She clawed at me. Scratched. Screamed. I stood still. Let her vent. Richard and Olivia pulled her off. "Calm down. This is a hospital. How can I be calm? My daughter's in there. And this monster's standing here fine. I wish he were dead." I looked at her twisted face and felt only pity. Even now, she blamed everyone but herself. The ER light stayed on a long time. Finally, a doctor emerged. "Family. Me. I'm her mother. She's out of danger. We got to her in time." But, he paused. "She drank a lot of alcohol before the pills. The damage to her liver and nervous system, irreversible. She'll need long-term care. She may never fully recover." Margaret collapsed. Richard wept. I stood apart, watching this tragedy unfold. I didn't know what to feel. Relief she'd survived. Pity for what awaited her. Maybe both. But mostly, a strange sense of closure. She was alive. That meant there was no unfinished business between us. No guilt I'd have to carry. No whispers about being the man who drove his ex-wife to death. After discharge, Vivian went home with her parents. Olivia told me her condition was bad. Physically weak. Mentally unstable. Some days lucid. Quietly crying. Other days confused. Clutching a pillow and calling my name. Her parents were worn down from caring for her. The once mighty Gu family was now a house of shadows. I never visited. But every month, I sent an anonymous payment to her parents' account. Not much. Enough for her meds and basic care. Nathan asked why. I told him, call it closing the book on 10 years. She was someone I once loved. That part was real. What I'm giving isn't love. Isn't forgiveness. It's a final account. Nothing more. My business thrived. Novatech became a rising star in the industry. Our AI algorithms won international awards. Valuation hit 10 billion. I'd reached higher than ever before. Women came and went. Smart partners. Bright subordinates. Well-connected socialites. But I kept my distance. Once bitten. Twice shy. Maybe I wasn't fully healed. Or maybe I just liked living for myself now. Spencer kept pushing. "You planning to be a monk forever? Being alone is fine." I said. "Bull." He rolled his eyes. "When you're old, you'll understand. Don't be so picky." I didn't argue. He meant well. But some scars never fully fade. Even healed. They ache when touched. I needed time. A lot more time. 2 years later, Novatech went public on the Nasdaq. At the ringing ceremony, I stood on stage, facing flashing lights and cheering crowds. Inside, I was calm. Wealth, fame, status, all the things Vivian and I had once desperately wanted, turned out to be just things. The joy they brought didn't compare to solving a tough problem or building something real with a team. At the afterparty, I drank more than usual. Afterwards, I didn't take the car. I walked alone through the streets of Manhattan. Past midnight, Times Square was still ablaze with light. My photo and Novatech's logo cycled on the giant screens. I pulled out my phone to take a picture, and somehow found myself scrolling to an old contact. "Olivia." She answered. "Mr. Carter." "Yeah. Still up. Just watching your IPO live stream from here. Congratulations." "Thanks." A pause. "How is she?" I finally asked. Olivia was silent for a long time. "She passed away last month." My heart took a hit. "How?" "Liver failure. Cancer by the time they found it." "Too late." Olivia's voice broke. "She went peacefully. She wanted me to tell you." She was sorry. And thank you. She said she never spent a cent of the money you sent. She wanted it donated. In your name. To a children's education fund. She also said, this life. She owed you. In the next. She hopes you don't cross paths again. She hopes you find someone who truly understands and loves you. And that you live happily. I stood in the middle of New York. Phone pressed to my ear. Tears streaming down my face. I didn't know why I was crying. For her tragic end. For our lost youth. Maybe both. I hung up. Deleted Olivia's number. Deleted everything from the past. I looked up at the stars over Manhattan. For the first time. I truly felt free. Vivian. The woman I'd loved and hated. Was gone. Finally. Completely from my life. And I, Ethan Carter. Would carry her last words. Her apology. Her blessing. Into my new beginning. Epilogue. The next morning. I flew back. The first thing I did was go see Olivia. I proposed. She stared at me. Stunned. Then she laughed. And cried. She said she'd been waiting for those words for a long time. Our wedding was small. Just close friends. Spencer was my best man. He grinned. Finally came to your senses. Huh. I looked at Olivia in her white dress. Smiling. Radiant. And felt a peace I'd never known. This time. I'd chosen right. I'd found someone who truly knew me. Loved me. And was worth a lifetime. That's the whole story. Don't forget to subscribe.